We are being told this morning that Trump's defense team is likely to attack the credibility of a major witness in the Manhattan District Attorney's case, Michael Cohen. The former Trump lawyer was convicted of lying to Congress, among other financial crimes. He says he pled guilty to that, we should note. Says he has proof this morning that he is telling the truth here.
I am a convicted felon. I am a disbarred lawyer, but I also brought the documents. There's plenty of testimony, corroborating testimony to go around. And at the end of the day, we have an indictment today. Yeah. So clearly, that means that the information provided was more than enough for the grand jury to come back with a determination for an indictment. Oh, by the way, for Donald, since we're talking about convicted felons, see you on Tuesday, pal.
Joining us now is Jim Trusty. He is a current attorney for Trump in the Department of Justice probe into the 2020 election, as well as the investigation involving classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Good morning, Jim, and thank you for being here. You're not representing Trump in this Manhattan case, we should make clear, but you are on his legal team. Obviously, you spend a lot of time with him. Do you expect that he's actually going to surrender himself on Tuesday, as we've been talking about?
Yeah, I don't have any inside info to share on that. I mean, we'll sort through it. We'll deal with the process. I think right now we're dealing with the enormity of the injustice and the shock of seeing people like Michael Cohen touted as credible witnesses. Maybe he'll have Avenatti as a character witness, I don't know. But it's a really astounding bad moment in the history of this country.
Why do you say that?
Because we've got a completely politicized prosecution. You know, your last segment, you had folks that actually talked openly about CNN appearances by Alvin Bragg running for office saying, I will target Donald Trump. I mean, that is not something to gloss over lightly. That is an upside down world of criminal justice where we don't follow evidence. We don't act judiciously as prosecutors. And I was a prosecutor for 27 years. Okay, so I have some background on this. You've got people that announce politically they're going to target an individual. That is not the rule of law. That is not what this country was built upon. And so when you talk about Donald Trump being angry, he should be. I'm amazed he's not, more apoplectic, but he is right to be angry at political persecution, which is what this case is.
Is he angry? Have you spoken to him since this indictment happened?
No, I don't talk about that kind of stuff. Sorry, Caitlin.
What's your sense of what happens
I'm angry. How about that?
What's your sense of what happens between now and Tuesday?
Well, look, I'll tell you, the big picture is, if you're representing him on the New York case, you've got a lot of stuff to be focusing on, but one of them is going to be pretrial motions. I know Ellie in the earlier segment talked about how that's a part of the process. You don't usually win on a pretrial motion saying, hey, the government's got the worst witnesses imaginable, even if that happens to be true. You win on legal issues, and this case is all about, it looks like from the outside right now, mental gymnastics that don't add up. I mean, legal gymnastics that are going to fall apart. So I would think in very short order, you'll see a motion to dismiss or several motions to dismiss talking about this kind of impossible theory of stacking a federal crime into a state misdemeanor, statute of limitations issues, and very importantly, the intent to defraud that's an element of these false record-keeping charges. That's just not present here under even the most dreamy of Michael Cohen moments. It's not part of the case. So there's a lot to look at. I think there'll be pretrial motions that'll be hugely important and well-founded to dismiss this travesty.
Those motions to dismiss that you say you're expecting, will those come before the indictment is unsealed on Tuesday, or what is your expectation there?
Yeah, I don't know about the exact timing. I think the practical problem is, we don't even have a case number. Keep in mind, with Donald Trump, there are no rules. So once again, we have sealed proceedings that have been leaked publicly that we're all talking about. I mean, it's just kind of an amazing breakdown of due process and fair play. So we don't even have a case number at this moment, but it'll be soon. I think this will be something you can expect in days or weeks, not weeks or months.
Okay, so you say there will likely be a motion to dismiss this. That's important. You are representing Trump in the January 6th investigation, in the classified documents investigation. There are several investigations now facing him, including with this indictment. How does the legal team manage all of these investigations at once?
Well, we've got a good team. We've got a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds and experience. I will say that the one common thread that I'm seeing is somebody who was associated with DOJ for 17 years and watching what's happening unfolding in New York is prosecutorial overreach. There's an ends justify the means mentality that is unlike anything I've ever seen in prosecutorial circles. You've got people like Letitia James, now Alvin Bragg, announcing we will get him. You've got an Attorney General of the United States doing press conferences after a search warrant, which is completely unprecedented and unethical. And so what we do is, we kind of shadow the investigations, figure out the actual facts, and find ways to litigate, often under seal, some of the issues that are just rolling through these these heavy-handed investigations into the president.
You noted all
he's got plenty of resources to bear to fight back.
You noted all the attorneys who are on the team. How many exactly are there? How many attorneys are there representing Trump at this time?
Oh, I don't have an exact number for you. Sorry.
When you talk about Alvin Bragg and Trump has continued to attack him, he faced criticism over the weekend after there was a link that he posted on Truth Social that had a photo of Trump holding a baseball bat next to a picture of Alvin Bragg. Is it inappropriate for your client to post things like that, attacking the district attorney, calling him an animal, calling him a racist?
Well, as I understand it, the meme that got retweeted didn't actually have the image until it showed up on Truth Social. So he didn't actually know that there was this baseball bat image thing. Look, it's unfortunate that happened. And there's a lot of room for an emotional reaction from anybody. Any client I have would be angry at this point. But the general concern that President Trump has, and I think it's a very genuine one, is that this is not even just about him. Yes, he's being targeted for political persecution, but this is an attack on the fabric of our system, on the whole presumption of innocence, due process, prosecutorial ethics. I mean, all of this is in play under that category of rule of law. And I'm as frustrated as anyone to see this kind of change in a system that heretofore had been the best in the world.
You're representing Trump on the classified documents matter. Did he still know that there were classified documents still at Mar-a-Lago after a subpoena came to return those documents?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into facts of any investigation that's pending. What I can tell you is,
you can't say whether or not he knew if there were still documents there?
Well, Caitlin, do you really expect that we're going to have that kind of conversation? I think you know better. But the reality is the president has every right. We entrust presidents under the Constitution to know state secrets, to be familiar with these things, to even hold on to documents and determine which ones they're going to hold on to and which ones they're going to give to the archivist. So criminalizing that process was absurd. That's nothing that's ever happened in history. You've got thousands of classified documents sitting in Chicago for the Obama Foundation, no similar treatment. And that's really what President Trump is fighting about, and that's what we're fighting about, is the idea that somehow this whole criminal justice system can be turned on its head because of him. One person gets differential treatment across the board, whether it's criminalizing a civil dispute about documents, whether it's ignoring peaceful words on January 6th, or threading together this ridiculous misdemeanor through the least credible witnesses you can imagine in New York. It's only him. He's the only one that gets that treatment, and we're going to fight back hard.
Well, I think it's a fair question to ask, given the Justice Department wanted those documents back, and we've seen the fight that played out. But Jim Trusty, representing President Trump right now, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for your time to talk about these investigations facing Trump.